All right, let's jump right in. Today we're doing something a little different, something kind of fun. We're launching a full-blown investigation, but our source material is, well, it's uniquely minimal. We have a single piece of evidence, just one word pulled from a totally unremarkable video online. Our mission? To see just how much meaning we can possibly squeeze out of it. And there it is. That's it. Our only clue. The entire case, everything we're about to do, rests on this one little word, he. Just 2 letters. It's not a lot to go on, is it? So the real question is, where do you even begin with something like this? Well, like any good detective knows, the very first thing you do is take your evidence to the lab. We have to perform a complete forensic analysis on the clue itself to really understand its fundamental properties before we can even think about the bigger picture. Now, what's so fascinating about our clue is what it is. It's a pronoun. And by its very definition, a pronoun is just a placeholder, right? It points to something else, something that's missing from our view. So the word itself is basically an admission that we don't have the full story. The mystery is literally baked right into its grammar. So what can we actually get from this word alone? Well, a surprising amount, actually. First off, we know it's third person. That means the speaker is talking about someone, not to them. We also know it's singular, so we're looking for just one person. And of course, we know it's masculine. So right off the bat, our subject is a single male. But look, a clue by itself is pretty much meaningless. A footprint is just a shape in the dirt until you place it at a crime scene. So that's what we have to do now. We need to visit the digital crime scene where we found our evidence. Okay, so here's our evidence log. This word, he, was pulled from a YouTube video called Emergency Plumbing Services You Can Trust. And the channel name, wow, it's basically just a string of keywords. Emergency plumbing, plumber near me, HVAC, Illinois. We even get specific locations, the North Shore and the northwest suburbs of Chicago. All of a sudden, words like emergency, trust, and plumber, they aren't just words anymore. They're critical contextual clues. All right, so we've analyzed the evidence, we've secured the scene. Now it's time to do what every good investigator does, start building some theories. We can actually start to construct some plausible stories about the identity of our mystery he. Okay, theory number 1. This is the most obvious one, right? He is the plumber. He's the guy at the very center of the service being advertised, the one you call in an emergency, the pro whose services you can trust. In this story, he's the hero. But what if we're looking at it all wrong? Let's consider theory 2. He is the homeowner, the client. He's the one having the emergency. He's the person who needed a service he could trust. And maybe this whole video is about his story. In this version, he's the victim. And you know what? Let's throw in a third, slightly more creative theory. What if he is the founder of the company? You know, maybe it's an old family business, and a testimonial is referring back to the legacy of the man who started it all. He's the figure they bring up to establish that all-important sense of trust. Okay, let's put our 2 prime suspects, the plumber and the homeowner, head to head. You could argue the plumber is supported by the channel name itself, plumber near me. He's the active agent here. But then the homeowner theory gets a boost from the video title, which really focuses on the customer's need for services you can trust. He's the passive one, the one receiving the service. So is the story about the hero who did the work or the victim who had the problem? The evidence, and this is so frustrating, it really points both ways. So we've reviewed the evidence, we've gone through the theories. It is time to close this case file. But after all this digging, despite all our deductions, we really have to face the limits of our investigation and deliver the final verdict. And this is what it all comes back to. 1. After sifting through all the context, the grammar, the narrative theories, we are left with one. A single, solitary word of hard evidence. And the truth is, it's just not enough. We can't definitively know who he is. The case, it has to remain open. But hey, that doesn't mean this whole investigation was a failure. It reminds me of what the great Carl Sagan said, the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. Just because we can't prove who he is, that doesn't mean he doesn't exist or that his story isn't real. It just shines a huge spotlight on the gap between a piece of data and the meaning we decide to give it. And that really is the whole point here. This was never really about a plumber in Chicago, was it? It's about how we as people are just wired to create stories.
We take the tiniest little fragment of information, and our brains instinctively start building a whole world around it. So the final question isn't, who is he? It's this: how much of what we understand is actual evidence, and how much of it is just the story we build around it?